Gran Turismo would easily be a top contender for the best video game adaptation ever, were it not for the fact that it's not a video game adaptation, and it's not even really a video game movie as far as I'm concerned. It's a racing movie, a sports movie. And I've seen it bullied on the internet for weeks, both in the vein of, oh, video game movies always suck, and the trailer is getting annoying, which, fair.
You puked on my lawn.
But I'm so excited to break it down with you guys because I was truly ready for this movie to be really bad. But Gran Turismo is not only an incredible display of practical effects, but it way surpassed my expectations and actually resonated with me personally in a few ways. It's also a really interesting direction for Neill Blomkamp, the director. Neill Blomkamp is responsible for one of my favorite sci-fi movies of the 2000s, District 9. I'm still holding out hope for District 10. But since then, people, including myself, have felt let down by his filmography. With both Chappie and Elysium, he went for that same violent dystopian sci-fi, and neither resonated with audiences like District 9 did. But Gran Turismo is a totally new angle for him. It's a good old-fashioned feel-good underdog story that is maybe safer than his previous work, but it allows him to make a total crowd pleaser while staying true to his interest in the relationship between man and machine, which here is done both through gaming consoles and the actual cars themselves. It's really cool, and we'll get into all that, but why do I say that this isn't a video game movie? Because Gran Turismo is a video game. It's the most accurate racing simulator ever made, apparently. They really make sure you know that in this movie, but this is based on the true story of Jann Mardenborough, who was one of the best Gran Turismo players in the world, and he got a spot at GT Academy, a training program that was started by Nissan to see if the best Gran Turismo players could actually race. They say Nissan or Nissan in the movie, and I'm simply not saying that, I'm sorry, but absolutely bonkers, stupid idea, right? It was originally conceived by Darren Cox, who is meant to be represented by Orlando Bloom's character Danny here, but it worked, and Jann went on to become a great racer, and I won't give away the details, but there were some bumps along the way, bumps that I honestly wish they hadn't spoiled in the trailer, so don't watch the trailer yet if you haven't. It's a really inspiring story, and Blomkamp's talents as a director mesh surprisingly really well with the high-octane nature of professional racing. And I don't want to sell this film as phenomenal. It's not District 9, it doesn't have deep themes, but I personally think there's something disarming and charming about these films that do something really classic and simple, but do it really solidly. And it's been a while since I've seen a film that so noticeably finds its footing and gets better and better as it goes. I had friends who had seen this before me and were like, oh my god, it's actually good. And in the first act, I was like, what the hell are they talking about? It's very cliche. It feels like an advertisement. Some of David Harbour's one-liners come across really clunky. You feel like you're in for a totally juvenile slog. But once you get to the back half of the obligatory training montage, you're off to the races, pun so intended. This is a Trojan horse of a film when it comes to scale. It feels way too quaint at first, and then it explodes into this globe-trotting rise to fame through the racing world, and I genuinely felt invested in the story. And we'll get to the racing scenes, but most importantly, Jann, who's played by Archie Madekwe, is a character who you are really rooting for. You really want him to win just on behalf of everyone who has big dreams. His dad in real life was Stephen Mardenborough, an English former professional soccer player, and in the film he's depicted as really not approving of and not believing in Jann's dream to become a professional racer. But he obviously goes on to prove his dad wrong, and their relationship kind of gets put on the back burner for a while. Like, his dad straight up disappears for a little bit, but they actually managed to give us a very touching and satisfying moment between the two of them to drive those themes home. There's one line that Jann says to his dad that really got me. I wonder if people will know which one I'm talking about, but it made me tear up. Like, it was a cool way to approach what was going on between the two of them. And then for Jann individually, it's about not letting other people tell you what you can and can't do. Believe in yourself in the face of adversity, and when there are setbacks, which in this film there are really extreme setbacks, it's an opportunity to connect with yourself on an even deeper level and use that to become greater. This is furthered even more through David Harbour's backstory as Jack, who is this burly, washed up ex-racer. He's able to use his lived experiences and tell Jann, you don't have to make the same mistakes I did. Their relationship kind of had to grow on me a little bit, but they end up having really great chemistry. And I mean, we know how instantly lovable David Harbour is, but this is Archie Madekwe's show, and he is so freaking good. And he's so tall. I think he's like 6'5". I love freakishly tall all actors is just inherently interesting. Shout out Mother Elizabeth Debicki. Jann also has a little love interest, so she's there. Again, it's not complicated or deeply developed stuff, but it gets used over and over again for a reason. It doesn't have to be an award-winning screenplay, but if you're able to appeal to your audience in those things that everyone wants to believe, you've got yourself an effective movie. And you can tell that Blomkamp was really trying to bring something new to the racing scenes. My personal favorite part of that being his use of high-speed drones. I am a huge sucker for a good drone shot. And you don't get to really revel in the racing scenes like in something like Ford v Ferrari, so it's a trade-off because there are quite a few of them and Blomkamp doesn't drag them out. The editing is tight and fast-paced, and he also adds in shots of the machinery pumping inside the car while they're driving to make you feel the intensity of it. I thought that was a really cool touch. There are some transitions between Jann driving and with VFX kind of placing him back inside the game. There's also this component of him maybe not being a racer, but knowing these tracks like the back of his hand because of the game. So they consistently keep in mind where this all started and get innovative with it. And the driving is almost all practical. The real Jann Mardenborough himself did a lot of the stunt work for Archie, which wasn't initially planned, I think, but Archie did all the training and is actually driving the car for these scenes, and they rightfully put a lot of emphasis on not only how dangerous racing is, but how physically demanding it is. Like, I don't think people realize the shape you need to be in the training you have to do to withstand the speed and heat and exhaustion of doing these races like Le Mans, which happens over 2 days. There are a few big crashes, and for the most part, they look incredible. Like, you can tell that they're practical. There was one that looked really bad that I really want to hear if it still looks like that for people who are seeing it now, because I saw it technically before the film was fully finished, and they had a message saying that there might be some things that were shaky. I did notice a couple things with the sound design and the VFX. So let me know, because there was one scene that it was really clunky. It felt like they either something went wrong with the footage or they just didn't get to film that scene practically. So overall, this is far from being the best film of the year, but it was still way better than I was expecting. It has thrilling racing scenes, an uncomplicated story about a person you can root for, and probably somehow less product placement than Haunted Mansion. So I'm going to give Gran Turismo 3.5 out of 5 stars. This movie is admittedly very Sydney coded. Like, if I was still 14 years old, this would be my new favorite movie. And currently, if it was as good as all of its best moments the whole time, I would go for the 4. But for what it is, this is like the definition of a 3.5 star film for me. And considering that it's new territory for Neill Blomkamp, I think it's a total win for him. So let me know your thoughts on Gran Turismo, guys. Do you plan on checking it out? Don't forget to like and subscribe, and keep an eye out for more videos soon. Thanks for watching.